And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. DeLeone and Sean Anderson. We're doing a very quick best bets episode before the holiday hits. Couldn't do the full show with all the craziness going on, and we figured you folks would love to hear where we're betting in order to keep up with the records and the competition that we've been doing this year. Sean, I'm going to kick us off here with college. Before we do, though, can you just share a very quick word from BetOnline? I remember that sentence.
I would love to. BetOnline is where we're doing our betting. This is where I'm doing all my Thanksgiving football betting. I can't wait to go 0 for 3 on my spreads. Why wouldn't Chicago just show up against Detroit on Thanksgiving Day, make me look like a jackass in front of my uncles? Well, Sean, sports media guy, give me some lines, give me a lock. Okay, here's one for you. Oh, Sean, that pick stunk, and it's halftime, man. Now everyone's upset over the hors d'oeuvres. Regardless, BetOnline, if you want to go get in a yelling match with your uncle, not about politics, but about sports lines, go to BetOnline, find one, and start triggering him like I will. They got the largest selection of odds from everything football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, boxing. They got it all. Head to the website today and see why BetOnline is America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here.
All right, Sean and I both went 2-1 this past week in college. 24-21 is Sean's record, 53% correct. I'm 21-24.
Ooh.
40. I still went 2-1. Shut the hell up. 46% correct. My first pick that I'm going with here, I'm going to take Ohio State minus 20 versus Michigan. This is one of the few opportunities that Ryan Day has against Michigan where they're down. This is the worst that we've seen them in the past 10 years minus that 2020 year when Joe Milton was the starting quarterback. I think that Ryan Day, with all of the things that he's saying this week and how dire it is for them to win, that he is going to try to win with an emphasis. Understandably, it is a rivalry game and crazy shit can always happen. But Ohio State at home and how lopsided this game has been over the past 2 years, I think they get the job done and they cover that 20.5.
I like it. Ohio State is far and away the better team than Michigan this year, but I worry that Michigan has momentum after flipping a certain recruit from LSU this past week in Bryce Underwood.
He ain't playing.
I know he's not playing, but I think maybe that could energize a team to maybe not lose by 21 to an arch rival. My first pick, we got South Carolina getting 2.5 versus Clemson. I like this pick. I like it. Clemson has big offensive tackles, but their feet are stuck in cement. And the South Carolina defensive line, I think, gets home on Cade Klubnik at least 3 times in this game. If they do it twice on third down, that means they're stealing 2 possessions. I like South Carolina enough. I know it's going to get real messy, and we're going to be vying for a CFP bid, basically, in this one between the SEC and ACC. I think South Carolina has the edge. They've shown me way more this year than Clemson has. And every time I've gotten up enough on Clemson, they have let me down. South Carolina, they've been steady. They've got that godly king leading that ship in his kingdom in Shane Beamer. What a Chad. I'm banking on him.
I think that this does come through and South Carolina does win, but it's just a drunken rivalry game on the road for South Carolina. So that's the only reason why I just wouldn't bet this one. My next one, minus 7.5 versus Illinois, or minus 7, Illinois to cover 7.5 versus Northwestern. Third time's the charm trying to say that. Northwestern, we got a lot of dead body picks this week. Northwestern has gotten walloped in their past few games. They gave up 50 to Michigan this past week. They're just not showing up. This Northwestern team has not given any fight over the past 5 games. I really, truly believe that Illinois and Luke Altmaier just good enough, just puts up enough production to win this thing by 10 or so. Northwestern, we're going against the bad teams. I don't trust them. They suck.
I'll say this. Illinois has been my darling as of late. Northwestern has not even been on my radar because they stink so bad. It's a fine pick, Joseph. My next
Future
pick.
Grimace League team.
Can't wait. Oh, yeah. Nice. That's where we'll hold our championship game. Is in their new stadium. Or no, actually, it's going to be Waterfront Stadium because
yes,
that's
in the
more
practice field.
So Grimace League Championship, Waterfront, Northwestern regular games. Those are being played in the new big stadium that they're building. My next pick, Kansas giving 1.5 versus Baylor. It's not it. I don't think it's bad to say that Kansas has been the best Big 12 team over the last 3 weeks. The way that
so wait, so is Baylor though. So this is why I'm a little off on this one.
I think Baylor stinks. I thought they stunk all year. I am not in on Baylor one bit, but Kansas decided, hey, we're way out of the CFP. We can't win this conference. Let's start running the rock like a 2000s Alabama team. We're just going to pound you into the dirt. And that's what they've been doing against the top Big 12 teams that just thought they could coast against the Jayhawks. Ain't happening. No. We're playing some late season Lance Leipold ball when it don't even matter. So I like that energy. They don't need to win these games, but they do. They're sticking a wrench in everyone's big plans. So I like Kansas beating up on Baylor.
Chip and Joanna Gaines are going to show up at your house with baseball bats and just beat the shit out of you. My next pick that I'm going to take here, I'm going to go with Florida covering 15 against Florida State. Another dead body team. I get rivalry game. It's in Tallahassee. Florida State doesn't have a pulse. They can't do anything. They can't do anything right this year. They looked half-assed against Charleston Southern this past week, and I know that they won big. But there are a lot of clips surfacing of guys just giving up mid-play on blocks. They're not going to play well against this Florida team that's hot right now, that they're producing big plays on offense and on defense. Give me the Gators. 15, totally doable. Florida State's lost by way more than that against much worse teams, even at home.
It's actually felt kind of mean picking against Florida State this year. That's why I don't think I've done it as much because they're so bad. I don't know if I really have wanted to add more to stoke the fire there. And then I guess the scrappy Florida program that's looking to get back. I'm fine with it. My final pick, play the fight song, Joe. Get the boys up in South Bend. We are continuing this. We are continuing this. How could I stop picking Notre Dame? They keep on winning me picks. They've carried me. How many picks? I got 24 correct picks this year. I'd wager at least 7 of those are coming off the backs of the Fighting Irish. I love this team. I am so invested. And they got a good little seed in the CFP. Give me SMU. Give me Texas. We'll roll into the semis, and we'll take it against Miami, too. Notre Dame in the national championship. We'll lose there, though, as of right now. Regardless, they're a better team than USC. Their defense has genuinely impressed me. If you think I'm doing some shtick or putting it on, I will say this. The Notre Dame defense and the way they've flown around, especially on special teams as well, has been very impressive. They're not dogging it. I'm not seeing loafs on that team. They know that they've had to chase that rabbit out of the hole to get into an actual contending position, and they've done it. They committed. They look better. They don't look lazy. I like this Notre Dame team giving 7.5 versus the Trojans.
I have no comment. You're a garbage person for continuing to bet on Notre Dame. All right, moving on to NFL. Sean and I both had bad weeks, 1-2 this past week, but your boy is still 26-10, 72%. Sean is a mediocre 18-17-1 for a whopping 50%. Sean, I'm going to kick us off here. Packers on Thursday on Thanksgiving, -3.5 versus Miami. Packers have been steadily churning along. Their defense has been super productive. Close win this past week against the Bears, and I think that the margins are strong enough in this home environment in a potentially cold stadium that Miami is not going to be able to play well enough to cover that 3.5. So give me the Packers, good defense, run the damn ball. Josh Jacobs, big game. We win by a touchdown or more.
Love it. What they did to San Francisco last week tells me what they're going to do to Miami this week. Oh, yeah, and it's at home. I just wanted to double check that. The spread should be bigger if we have Miami going to play in Green Bay, Wisconsin in late November. It should be bigger than 3.5. That's a good line.
Freeze their nuts off.
Yeah, they can't play in the cold. My first pick, Chargers given a point versus the Atlanta Falcons. I know that Atlanta is coming off of a bye, but Atlanta is dying to lose their division. They would love to hand it over to Tampa Bay. They would love nothing more than to drop games that are going to be close. This is a playoff game. This Falcons-Chargers game is 2 teams that are vying for the playoff spots. So you have a playoff game coming up, and they would love to drop it in a goofy way. Now, the Chargers have been Atlanta West over the last couple years. They really have. I've been tracking them as much as I have with Atlanta when it comes to chokes, incredibly bad special teams plays. Obviously, Quentin Johnston had a tough week on social media after his drop, but I think the Chargers are a more complete team. They have the right attitude and they have the right coach to get them to win close games. Atlanta, we got to put a lot of points on you and hope we can hold on. The Chargers we know we're going to beat you. It's just going to be when. Sometimes it would take 75 minutes instead of just 60, but I think they do it in 60. Chargers given 1.
We'll be picking against your own team there. Next pick, I'm going to take Texans -5 versus the Jags. Texans have been a little bit shaky the past few weeks. They've been trying to regain their footing. They've been trying to play better football, less mistakes. Jaguars are that get-right game. I know that the last game that they played was against an awful Titans team, and they didn't look right, but they got to regain their swagger, and the week to do it is against this Jaguars squad. It's not like it's a super tough travel trip for them. I really have confidence here that the Texans are going to get back on their feet.
Screw you. That was a Will Levis ball-up game, and we saw his potential. And here's what I'll say. If
he had I think he had a negative EPA per play or something like that, despite playing one of his better games.
If Trevor Lawrence loses to the Texans, he's officially worse than Will Levis. That's how we're going at this point in the season. He's not great. The Texans have a capability to be great. That's a fine pick. My next one, Seahawks giving 2.5 versus the Jets. The Seahawks, they're in a very nitty-gritty NFC West battle right now. Everyone's vying for competition. I know they want to break away. They won't. It's going to be a catastrophe until the very end in that division. But they look, the entire NFC West and all their ailments look like the prime Art Rooney Steelers incompetency compared to what the New York Jets have been doing. The New York Jets are hiring an old GM of theirs to find their next GM. It is an incestuous disaster in New York. You have Rex Ryan throwing his hat in the ring to come back. No, Rex, I can't take you seriously as a head coach. I've seen your teeth on TV. How could I take marching orders from you and those big white chompers? Can't do it. The Jets are a disaster. The Seahawks are at least semi-competent. 2.5, I'll take it.
I can get behind that one. Jets suck. Last one that I have, give me the Commanders -5.5 versus the Titans. I have made a lot of money betting against the Tennessee Titans. Again, they played a close game against the Texans this past week. Commanders coming off of a bad loss. I will like to lean on the team that is, again, needing to regain and reestablish themselves. Also, Commanders are bad team merchants. They have been smoking all of the bad teams, and then anyone with a little bit of a pulse has come out and put up a fight. So give me the Commies to get it done.
Yeah, I hate their 3-game loss skid. That's not good, but you played Pittsburgh and Philly. Those are legit playoff teams. You lost to Dallas. That's awful. You can't lose to the Tennessee Titans, but the Titans, unfortunately, are a team that likes to prey on weakness, and that defense of the Commanders is weak at the moment. Don't love the line personally. My final pick, Broncos giving 5.5 to the Browns. Now, I had a ton of love for the Browns after seeing the majesty on Thursday night in that stadium with the snow and Jameis Winston running it in, and he just so much fun. It was fantastic NFL imagery, but at the end of the day, the Browns still aren't that good of a team, and I love Jameis Winston playing for the Browns. I think he makes them better, but the Broncos are a complete team with a definite destructive defense, and Bo Nix, every single week, seeing the improvements. I think 5.5 is fair for them, even though you got to really buckle up on that offensive line because Myles Garrett's having an insane season like always. I'm not worried about the Browns as a whole, though. I think the Broncos cover this one maybe late through the third quarter.
All right, folks, that's going to be it from us on our betting preview. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. We will be back later on in the week. Enjoy your holiday.